Hi everyone, this is Marianne from Speak to Engage, and today we're going to talk tips for the speaker to help you with your message to your audience, and we're going to talk about a bit of boosting your energy, which is so important, and clearing some of those old thoughts, because you know me, all those old stories, the stories that we say in our heads are just as important as the stories we share with our audience, because it's the stories that we relate to ourselves that are going to influence what we say, when we say, and more importantly, if we say anything at all. So I'm really excited today to genuinely introduce my friend, Cassandra James. So Cassandra is a lifelong adventurer, and I've known her for some time now. That she's got a lot of wisdom to bring to this call, and she specializes in burnout and helping people with problems in the pelvis. And this is the one that intrigues me, and Cassandra will be able to expand on this, but thoughts that get, not like the old thoughts we have, that can also get stuck in the body. So welcome, Cassandra. It's really nice to have you on the call from sunny Provence.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to talk with you and with your group, your people.
Yeah. So
yes, sunny Provence. It's a bit of a contrast, I gather, to England today.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. We're suffering a little bit with the weather, but you know, if that's one thing, I actually said to somebody, we were talking about mindfulness and we're doing an interview, and I actually said, you know, that's the one thing that we know about mindfulness in Britain. You know, when the sun shines, we know how to appreciate it. But we had our sunshine in February. But so I guess that's part of you being an adventurer, is that you spend time in Provence, don't you? And I think you do retreats there as well.
Yeah, I do private, my private healing retreats, and people come down and join me for a few days at a time down here, and I work one-to-one with them. And then this year I'm also creating a new program in the background while I've been here.
Wow, beautiful. So that's always intriguing. You can actually, guys, you can hear the bird song. We can hear the bird song, which is so nice, because sometimes I interrupt and say, sorry, I can hear the ambulance, or maybe they're builders, but there you can actually hear the bird song, which is really lovely. So
yeah, we have nightingales.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a bit afterwards, talking about adventures and travel. Cassandra's starting a new membership next week called Freedom Adventurers. So we're going to ask Cassandra to explain a bit about that. But once I've got Cassandra here, I really want to pick her brains and find out a little bit about the energy in the speaker, and, you know, tip from her, and also something about those old thoughts, because I'm intrigued by the phrase she gave me, stuck in the body. So let's start with our energy, Cassandra. As speakers, you know, what sort of a big advice, you know, what's the number one advice you might give us to boost our energy?
The body is it's a very integrated creature, and in a lot of in the work that I do includes the ancient understandings from the Indians and the Chinese and the Judaics. Okay. But with everybody, it's the base of the body gives us our energy, and traditionally it comes from the food we eat and the air we breathe, and then there's the kidney energy that comes from our ancestors. But a lot of this is fed and supported, of course, by how we are in our lifestyle. Now, for speakers, they have to have that strength that comes to project your voice, but mostly of all, to feel confident and grounded in yourself, so that you can step out onto a stage or wherever you are speaking out, and to be able to capture an audience and hold them. That requires energy. And that energy comes from within the body. And all the coffee and the chocolate in the world will not boost that. It will give a buzz, but it won't give strength. So the strength is found in the body. And they're one of the key things that I say to everybody who does anything with me is sleep is the key aspect.
Lovely.
It's like your ground rules. And today, in this frantic society we have, and so what it's important to do, there's actually a wonderful clock in the ancient Chinese understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of it as a wheel, and it's divided up into 12 sections, and every one of them relates to an organ for 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
And it's the time when we have to nourish those different organs.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are doing this, right times to do everything, and one of the key right times is the right time we should go to sleep.
Okay.
Now, ideally, it's not going to happen every night, but if you can make it most nights of the week, if you go to sleep between 10 and 11,
mm-hmm.
then you're sleeping between 11 and 1, and this is the nourishment time for the energy state, the daytime energy. So it's like the clock is got two, it's like a yin yang.
So if you try to go between 10 and 11, you ought to be asleep by, was it 11 and 1, that 2 hours that will feed the energy for day?
The time. Yes, even if you're going to have interrupted sleep,
yeah,
and you know that you got to get up super early, or you got to wake up in the night, if you can sort of avoid doing it, then sure, you're going to go to a party or something once in a while, and travel, and that's going to get interrupted.
Sort of the 80% rule,
but
isn't it?
As you sort of base, it's your 80% rule, exactly. So if you can be asleep at that time, and preferably long time longer,
yes,
but that time gives the daytime's energy the tail of strength, so that then you have the energy in the daytime. Mm-hmm. And the Chinese also say, which is a little depressing, that for every night that we don't get any sleep, it takes 100 days to recover. Now, for people with young parents, it's not a good look, but basically having as much sleep around the middle of the night is a really ideal thing. And then your body starts to build up the strength, and that helps you on stage with anything. It's like this, it's holding your back. Literally, the kidneys are supporting your back.
Because it's feeding your kidneys, the sleep. That sleep is the restorative time?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually feeding at that time's actually feeding the heart as well, and the heart rules sleep, so it becomes a little more complicated.
Okay, but simply it's going to boost our energy for the day. That's that period that will boost.
It gives us the energy. Yes.
And the grounding, which is really important point, guys, that Cassandra made, is to sort of ground. We can, if you really need to, resort to the chocolate or whatever it is, but actually grounding, having that sort of grounded energy, so you feel you can walk on and keep going, whether it's 10 minutes or whether it's 40 minutes, really starts to convey your energy, and that's what you want, really. And so you don't want to worry that the effect of the sugar or the chocolate's going to wear off in X many minutes. You want to feel that you can keep going steady. So lovely. Thanks for that, Sandra. Have the sleep. There's something that, my mother used to say, and sometimes people used to say, yes. Or she said, sleep's the most important. Yes. And of course, all the science is supporting even the wisdom of this sort of ancient Chinese thing, that sleep is so important. Love it. And we're less likely to go for the sugar or the chocolate.
Our mothers, yeah? Sorry?
Yeah, our mums, yeah. We're less likely to reach out, aren't we? I think if we sleep, we're less likely to reach out for more chocolate. We might have some chocolate, but we tend to eat more, don't we, if we don't sleep much?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And another thing is, of course, just step outside. If you're giving a talk, is to step outside and be in nature. And even, might sound a bit woo-woo, but it's like, take your shoes off. If the weather's permitting, put your feet on some grass. You'll actually from the meridian points on the bottom of your feet, it'll give you a boost of energy.
Oh, lovely, lovely. No, I don't think it's woo. You actually sort of, I know, if you feel the energy of that warm sand, if you think of imagining yourself on the warm sand of a beach and you have that warmth and you feel the different grains, you feel a bit more in touch, don't you? So I guess that's something similar. That's actually the energy of the earth is helping that meridian. Really interesting. I think I could speak to you for hours on this, but we're going to have to keep it simple. So that's really very interesting. And I know you mentioned to me earlier on, because you work with the pelvis, that the throat, because we speak from the throat, is also linked to the pelvis. So is that right?
Yeah, it's very fascinating. Certain areas of the body are what we might call reflections, so that they have a very strong connection.
Yeah.
And the throat has a strong connection to the pelvis.
Okay.
And now this is a physiological one as well. There's a lot of physiological connections, but there's also a strong energetic connection. And so when we feel grounded and when it's like even just putting your attention in your pelvis, you might rock it on a chair before you stand up to speak, that will ground you, and then you'll feel more secure, the mind will calm down, and you'll have a better time speaking. So
lovely.
The connection between the pelvis and the throat is that.
No, continue. I was just going to say, I said yesterday to David, I said, I really want to get myself a rocking chair. So now I know it's just a really good idea.
Yeah. And they're amazingly relaxing, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. And quite good, because you get a bit of movement this way, at least with the spine, and love it. So just a bit of movement in the pelvis.
So you can sit on a normal chair and you just literally rock it back and forth, or when you're walking, you swing your hips slightly.
Yes.
And I get men doing it as well as women. But it brings us down into our body, and then everything becomes simpler. So the more connected we are down there, then the more relaxed the throat feels. And then there's more possibility. Like the throat's a complicated thing. So there's a lot in the throat that can get in the way of public speaking, as you, I'm sure, are sharing and exploring. But just by helping the pelvis is just one extra way you can help the throat to relax.
Oh, that's really exciting. That's really exciting. So already, hopefully, you're getting a bit of insight of Cassandra's wisdom in these areas. So what about the old thoughts that get stuck in our body? Expand on that one.
This is they're often such a deep thing. So there's the ones that come, there's like the most peripheral, the most recent ones that will come up and can undermine us.
Yeah.
But then you'll often find there's a pattern. If you look back in time, they might have been coming up for a long time. And then you might go back to your childhood and somebody said something to you. Maybe they said that thought, those words, or maybe they said something and this was your reaction to it. It's like, no, I'll never do that, or I'll always do that.
Yes.
So those are the ones, and some of those very old, deep ones come, they get locked in the cells of the body. And so then they keep repeating, and it's almost like we have to clear them on a cellular level. We have to really sort of go in and help the body to let it go. So you can't do it just from the mind. Always coming down and connecting to the body, working with the body in the sense of feeling it, reconnecting with it and becoming more grounded, then can help some of that. But then you can go back to thoughts that we pick up from when we're in utero. We can pick them up from our ancestors, because literally they go into the cells of the body and then they go into the DNA and they can pass down to future generations. And that's often if there's been some sort of trauma, something like that. So the wars carried that in a lot of Northern Europe.
That's
different people. Yeah. And, Holland had its... Sorry?
It's an interesting concept that you were saying with with things actually coming into a cellular level, because it's so easy to think that our thoughts are just in our heads, but of course we react to them with different parts of our body, and different parts of our body already all have their cells. So in a sense, what you're saying is that in our reactions, in the physical reactions, whether it was sweaty palms or fear or whatever it is, or laughter, it's sort of almost recorded as a reaction in your cell, at a cellular level. Is that right?
And some of it's some of it's a really sensible reaction. The body's like,
yes,
that's a dangerous thing to do.
Yes.
And it thinks being on stage is a dangerous thing to do. And danger, the body's absolutely programmed to protect us from danger. So it's like, hey, let's run. Let's run. This is like, this is not a good place to be.
Absolutely.
Or freeze. So we freeze, or we run, or we fight. But the freeze is actually the biggest response. And people don't talk about it always so much. But it's deep, and it's old, and it's in the cells of the body. And so the way you have to let this body deeply, deeply relax. And then it's like, oh, maybe it's not such a threatening situation.
Okay, no, that's great. So just one little insight, just like 1 minute there. What would maybe one thing you would suggest to help people relax their body so that as they're thinking it can be released through their body? Let's say I'm saying, I don't know, I can never talk on stage, but I could talk to something else. Or, I went on stage and it was this horrific, whatever experience. Or when I was a kid, I dropped this tea on the floor and I got into so much trouble and I must never do it again. There's a bit of a timeline.
It's almost like you have to bypass the thought, because the thought's on a loop and it keeps repeating.
Right.
And if you go into it and with your mind and you try to analyze it, work it out and get it out, and sometimes they're good to look at and just go, hey, this, to see, go, wow, that was programming. But
Absolutely.
Then if the programming comes up again, it's like, all you do is think and move your body at the same time. So if you and anybody watching, if you try and rock your hips now, like really rock them and rock your feet on the floor, and now try and have a sort of, an intelligent thought in your mind about E equals M squared. And you'll want to stop moving.
Some people might not like E equals M squared when they're still, or with a piece of paper, but I take your point.
Yes, let's have an intelligent thought about what am I going to talk about in my speech.
That might come up. So really what you're saying, because obviously there are methods, to talk, you actually to have the conversations, but one effective way of saying is rather if it comes up, then have some movement, because the movement
then come back and have the conversation.
The cycle. Is that right?
Yes. And then come back and then have a conversation. And at that point, you might find that thing has relaxed and it hasn't got such a strong grip on you. Yeah.
That's a beautiful point, because we always with our fears have to bring some element of the physical, whether it's a physical action. So that's great. So that's a great tip. So that once you get some movement or rocking or anything or dancing, so that in itself will just disrupt the cycle, I suppose.
Exactly. It's a disruption. And the disruption then allows you to come back sort of into your body more. And then it's like, and then you can come fresh to that situation.
Yeah. Very good. I just love that. So, tell me a little bit. You've got this new membership, and it's called Freedom Adventurers. So, just tell me a little bit about that, and what's the adventure inside?
Well, I'm really excited about it because I've been working on it for quite a while, and it's bringing together a lot of questions that people I know and I've met have asked me. So to give you the description it's a clear path and a supportive for freedom and success. Now those words are basically, it's a feeling of expansion and to be able to do what you want to do in your life. And there's foundations, and often a lot of people come and it's like people might go and do courses and they go and learn about things, or they go and do inner work, or they go and do a course for business. But then, as somebody phrased, it's like you go home and you go back into your world, and it's really hard to stay on top of it. Yeah. Also, we've often gathered so much knowledge, and then there's so much on the internet, it's complete overwhelm. So we end up procrastinating and then doing nothing.
Yes,
because our natural inclination of our body is, that's all too much, and the body doesn't like change. It's just like, okay, well, I told you change wasn't a really good thing anyway, let's not do it. Yeah. So it'll just go back into the status quo and comfort. Yeah. And all our best aspirations end up being left outside the door when we go home, and because it's like, oh, how do I put this into place? Where do I do it? So it's an online community, and it's a small group. It's what I'm actually offering this week up until Sunday is a founders launch. So this is people who want to come in at the ground floor and basically help me to create, to finalize, to record the content, but it'll also be based around them and their questions and their challenges. So it'll be much more personalized in this first way, and it'll be reopened at the end of the year, and it'll be available for more people, higher price, and much more solid content. So it's got a community and it's got a journey with a success path. And I'm not sure if your people have heard of success paths, but it's like a map. And this one is like, if you think of the image of a bird, there's steps along the two wings that comes to the center of the bird where we have balance. So we're moving, one of them is like to energize our body and to ground it. And the other one is to find a clear mind and to let go thoughts that undermine us and find clarity and sort of peace within ourselves. And as we master those more and more, then we get balance in the middle, and then things are possible.
Okay, so lovely. So if I just summarize it, because apologies for the line, but Cassandra's got a bit of connection difficulties, but hey, in a beautiful place like Provence, I think we can forgive her that one, really. So we heard the birds. So it's really about reducing procrastination, because in this day and age of overwhelm, we've got so much information, so many things we could do, that we end up piling up so much, and then it becomes too much, and sometimes your body says, well, I told you so, that wasn't a good idea, and you might not do any of them. So we've really had a taster of what Cassandra does, and it's a way of going in there as a founders member to deal with that, actually get things done that you want to in your life. And Cassandra mentioned her success path, her image of a bird that has a wing with to do with the mind, and another wing to do with the body, because we always need the balance between the two. And if you're in there to begin with, you get to help Cassandra design it. Did I summarize that all right?
Yeah, brilliantly.
Okay, no, that's great. So that's what it's about, and it's until this Sunday, Father's Day. So that's quite an easy day to remember. That's really cool.
Till midnight.
Right. Okay. So no, that's really great. Anything else that you wanted to say about that? Because I think hopefully my viewers or your viewers have got a chance to hear some of your wisdom, how you actually bring some of the modern with the ancient wisdom to deal with really everyday issues that really do touch on all of our lives, like sleep and the busy digital world, and things that sometimes can become too much and we don't realize how stressful they actually are. And it's really important to look after ourselves, and that's going to be another aspect, is that self-care, which is so important for the speaker, is actually looking after yourself. So that sort of joins the two wings, really. So yeah, that's wonderful. Any other pearls of wisdom that you'd like to sign off, or any questions that sometimes you find your readers ask about the Freedom Adventures? I'll leave that to you before we say thank you.
Oh, okay. And I haven't thought about one move beforehand. So what some of the, it's, well, it is a way that to have clear steps. And I guess what some of them were asking was like, okay, it's like, it's so much work to work out where we should be going in all the steps. But Freedom Adventurers is so that I can support the people in the group to say, okay, hey, we do this questionnaire, we work out where they're at. And it's like, hey, you just have this one next step, master that one. Yeah. And then I can keep an eye on the path for them, and then they can take the next one. And it's a thing about relaxing, because it's helping your back to, like, it's so that your body in a way has your back. And the Freedom Foundation, Freedom Adventurers also has people's back to support them on their journey.
Absolutely, because everybody needs the support to continue on that journey. So that's lovely. So really, it's there that you don't have to do everything at once. It's just taking what's necessary for you, what's that burning issue, what's the next step to take you forward, and because you are there to support them, plus everybody else in the community. So it's they don't have to, the last thing they need to feel is overwhelm, and that's the message I think that you want to say. Your membership is not going to be about overwhelm, it's about reducing overwhelm. Step at a time. Lovely.
Finding clarity, but that we really want to reduce overwhelm.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, greater and greater clarity, don't we?
And Provence is a bit like that. It's that simple lifestyle that is ideal. And really, it's the ideal life that everybody likes. It's like in touch with nature, able to enjoy the world and enjoy your friends and do the things you love, and they're little pleasures in life.
It's the simple things that really actually matter. That we all think we have to strive for the big things, but it's the simple things that really make a difference in our lives. Like hearing the birds sing, I love it. So, Cassandra, thank you so much for spending the time and giving us some tips. One about boosting the energy, which is obviously relevant whether you're a speaker or not, but helping you with your sleep, and also moving your body sometimes as a disruptor for thought patterns that aren't helping you at all, and just giving us a bit of an insight into your Freedom Adventures, your new membership site, where people really get a chance to get in there and have that privilege and honor of building it with you. So I hope everything goes really, really well. Thank you so much for your time. And I think all of us would join you with saying, wish we were there with you.
Yes. Thank you, Marianne. It's been a total joy to be here, and we've had lots of bird song for you. And singing, one last little tip is amazing. I mean, I'm sure you know that, you talk about that with your people, but singing is, of course, amazing for the throat. And so go outside, get in the car, be somewhere you feel comfortable, and sing a bit like a bird.
Sing like a bird, yes. Do you know there was an experiment? I just have to, the National Trust in England, they did an experiment where they got professional singers. I have to do a video of this. They're professional singers, and they gave them some bird song, individual songs. And the professional singers had to sing it with the notes they were given. And then the video was really fast-tracked forward, made them a lot faster, and then you actually heard the results, and they really did sound, they really sounded the same. They just had to, because the birds actually vibrate a lot faster, and they sounded the same as the bird song. So yeah, I had to say that little bit, but singing.
Wow. Oh, you definitely need to do a talk on that one. That's fantastic.
I think I will, yes.
Yeah. And a nightingale has 137 sounds that they sing. Wow. Which is amazing.
It is. You're very fortunate to have a nightingale near you. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, we have lots. It's the wildland. Yeah.
So you can literally sing with the birds. Thank you so much. It's
and thank you so much. It's been a total pleasure.
Thanks for listening, everybody. See you in the next video. Take care.
Thank you all. Bye.